let's explore the future of this industry with some leading entrepreneurs or thought leaders in this. Because as you can see, I'm joined by a fresh new panel. On my far right is Jim Bryson. You're the president of 2020 Research, and you're an eminence grise here in the market research industry. On my right is Elena Omright. You're the CEO of MAP, Marketing Research in Bulgaria. Stefan Marder from France, the president and CEO of Future Thinking. And we have Joyce van Heeswijk. You're the research manager, or a research manager at Skim in the Netherlands. Welcome. What we would like to discuss is, in light of the future of our industry. Let me quickly check. Jim, do you have any children?
I have four.
Four children. Elena?
Three.
Three?
Three.
Three? Joyce? Zero, not yet, right? But you're really young, so you're close to kids in school. Because what would happen if I ask you, Jim, would you recommend your kids to start a career in market research?
My initial reaction is no.
No. How about you, Elena?
Well, I recommend you. They tried, they learned. My daughter went to do a master degree in Tilburg in market research, and she came back to Bulgaria and she works in a big data company in air transport.
So, yes.
But it's not market research.
Yeah, exactly. It's a data collection, big data. Okay. For you, Stefan?
You want a short response? So
yes.
Yes, I would.
You would say yes. And would you tell your friends out of college and university, those a little bit behind, to actually start and join you in market research?
Yes.
Yes.
But if I think of children, then for me that's a little bit further away. I don't like the thing of recommending stuff to your children, but I can see why it's really interesting.
All right. Well, let's explore because your short answer, Jim, is no. Why do you say that?
Well, I think because the research industry that I know, that I've grown up in more or less, I think in the next 20 years won't exist. And what I mean by that is the idea of episodic quant and qual events that you have, that you do a big event, you do the research, you crunch the numbers, and then you deliver the data. I think that's going to go away. And so I think that type of research is not going to happen, and so we're going to have a lot more of always on, always moving, always changing research that's going to be at your fingertips. So it's going to be more of an analysis and a skimming of data that's always going on, and not these episodic research events. So I think it's a totally different skill set.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that as a fresh starter in this industry?
Yeah, completely. But I think that's also where the challenge, the opportunities sit, right? So if I look back even at my career so far, it's so international. So that's what I really like about it. I actually hardly focus ever on the Netherlands. And it also actually means traveling a lot, you're constantly thinking about other cultures, and that's the really cool part of it.
Yeah, that's what makes it attractive. And Stefan, why would you recommend your kids to come follow you?
It's just the past. I've been working in market research for nearly 30 years, and it's always fun. And if we still have fun after all these years, I would imagine the future would continue. But it's right, it will change. We know it's changing, and we have to make the change ourselves. But that means it's always something really interesting to do. So why not? When I say yes, is yes among other possible
What makes it so much fun for you?
So much fun because we are working for companies, we are helping them sell their products because we are finally there. Some would say, oh, it's bad, you are helping people to sell products. No, we are helping people build the best product for consumers. And that's how I see things, and there is no reason that this wouldn't change, and that's fun, that's fun.
So just a quick check, Jim. Is it a matter of semantics? Is it, I wouldn't recommend market research as I knew it? Or, I mean, the development you were sketching, we all agree on, but isn't that still market research?
Well, it's definitely the former. It's definitely, as I knew it, is not going to be there. I think if I were going to tell my children to get into market research, what I would encourage them to do is get into it on an entrepreneurial way. Okay. Because I think what they need to do is they need to get into it in a place where they can create something new. Just to get into it in a place where they're just continuing what's already being done, I think those days are coming to an end really quickly.
All right.
I think this is the exact reason my daughter is not yet in market research. She's creative, she paints, and she works in big data with a lot of math. I think right now she feels the creativity is missing in market research. We do very advanced things, but still not creative and not fun enough for her.
Okay. But then if we all pretty much agree that it's so much fun to hang out in this industry and so international, so attractive, and even as an entrepreneur, we also see figures that it's quite difficult to attract young people to this industry. So what do we need to do to make ourselves more attractive?
I always find it really hard to describe also to friends like actually what you do, because if you say that I look at a lot of Excel data sheets, like it doesn't sound so interesting.
Is that what you do?
I do. But at the same time, like I also actually, you know, like even last week I was presenting and you actually really sit next to a CEO of like a big leading beer manufacturer.
Like here, yeah.
No, but you really get like, even when I started, one of the first projects was for a really big, I guess, are we allowed to call brand names or not? Like Coca-Cola,
yeah.
Which was about their Christmas campaign. And it was a research in like all over the globe about next year what they're doing. And you're talking to people within Coca-Cola that, you know, are going to make decisions, what's going to be on air. And as someone that was at the time 23, that's quite cool. So there's the thing of the, like, yes, I see a lot of like, you know, desktops, laptops, but at the same time you do really get to think, and at a high level you can have a lot of impact.
So that is an aspect that we should put forward more?
Yeah, I think then now, you know, if my friends see what I actually do, that I'm here in New Orleans, and like, then they're like, oh wow, you actually have a cool job. But if I write down on paper like what I do on a day-to-day basis, it might come across a bit different.
So it's a boring job with benefits? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't find it boring, but I do think you need a certain mindset, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I would say, like why it's fun. It's a certain type of people that walks around. It's like you have some kind of critical thinking. We're all very smart. We like to look at data, either it's qualitative, like listening, or like looking at numbers. So it's a certain type of people that likes this. It's not for everyone.
You want to add?
I was just going to say, I agree. I think one of the problems that we have is just terminology and our own perspective on the industry. We started out asking, would you ask your children to go into market research? Well, maybe not, but would my children be excited about going into to gathering insights that are going to have an impact on the world? Well, they'd be interested in that, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't think about ourselves that way and we don't talk about ourselves in that way. And so we want to get people in that are going to make an impact. We have to give them a vision of the outcome of what that impact is, exactly. And then they'll want to come into this industry.
Anything to add?
That's right. Taking part of decisions, even small decisions, can lead to very big things and strategy. So that's indeed the thing that we have to communicate about. Yes, helping taking decisions, and big ones at some point.
And has any of you seen some examples of that? Who's doing that really well? We as an industry, we're all watching, whether it's live or in the recording. Where do we need to turn to for inspiration?
I think what could help, like for example, when I started a company, we also did a lot of charity work, but charity in a way that we would do studies for like, companies that are not for profit. And I did like a big study for UNICEF, like why people don't donate anymore and like what the barriers are. And I think that that's maybe where, if as an industry, like we could apply our thinking to also help solve problems that are actually out there, rather than just a commercial.
Exactly.
That would make it a lot more interesting. And yeah. I think that's where ideally I would like to go as well, right?
Yeah, we have a whole show on that on this channel in the lunch break, social impact of research. Yeah. So that could be a second thing. So not only highlighting the big brands, but also highlighting the impact on society?
It must be a mix of this. The fun is big brands because it's a little bit crazy, as we know that. But working for the health industry, for example, or health ministry, just helping them to know exactly what kind of information they must give to the population for them to be more secure or health habits. So yes, it's a mix of things to be felt as decision makers or as decision helpers on serious things and less serious things, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah?
I think it's the client base. I'll go back to my daughter. She doesn't want to work in a huge company, so she works in a startup. And why she does it? She says, in a big company, whatever I do, it will be lost. Maybe it will break through to somebody on C-level, but basically, most it will be lost. While in a small company, we maybe 12 or 14 people, everything we do will show and will, if there is some
you have more impact.
Yeah, exactly on the impact.
you asked a minute ago who's doing it well, and I don't know there are very many research firms right now that are positioning themselves well for what we were speaking of. But I think the people that are doing it well are strategic branding companies that have a significant research component. I think they position themselves very, very well. And I think a lot of the large consulting firms, Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, those kinds of people, they're building a big research component within their company, but they're not research firms, they're solution providers. And it's a different way, they look at it totally different than most research firms do. And I think that's a pretty compelling argument for young people to get into.
So what are, because you're not just anybody's, you are CEOs and presidents of your own company, so what are you guys doing in your own companies, and perhaps what do you see in your company that is being tried to attract fresh, new people into this industry? How's that future thinking?
That's something we are always looking at, because it's very important to have younger people with fresh ideas, because otherwise we will always turn around with the same ideas. So the new ideas are coming from young people. What we try to do is to be known in the universities. We give time to give some lessons on market research. So being known at that point, that help us attract younger people during their few years of learnings about the market research. So that's the way we try to do
That's what you do. You go give guest lectures, and you see good results from that? You see that you can connect with this generation?
Yes, indeed, because each year we recruit one or two scholars as trainees, and then if the market is going right, which we are still looking at, we are recruiting as
the GMR was very positive. The Global Market Research Report, revenues are, the pie is growing, Ray Pointer says.
But I'm a result of this. So how I ended up in market research was that during my studies there was like this course about how do you link finance to marketing. You know, marketing is very often seen as a cost, and then actually it's really difficult to determine return on investment. And that's where I saw a lecture on like, how do you calculate what the value of a brand is? You know, for big brands like Google, the asset, like their brand name, how do you put that on a balance sheet? It's really difficult. And that's where I was like, oh, this is interesting, and I started my first job.
And then that's how you got involved with Skim and grow to it. And how is that in your company?
We don't have that issue. Actually, the 2/3 of
as
the
a
employees...
company or in your country?
I think in the country, our country as well. In our company, 30% will be over 40, between 30 and 40. Don't count me. I'm much older than that.
You're the chief.
Yeah, but I'm the oldest in the office. And the rest, 65%, 67% are younger than 30.
And why is that? Because I remember now, I just mentioned the Global Market Research Report. There's actually a reference to Bulgaria specifically, that the market is growing so fast there. What is happening in your country?
It has become an outsourcing hub for providing market research services. And it has not become recently that my company started the model in 2001. And other companies followed, so there are like 10 different hubs in Bulgaria right now.
And then what makes it the case that it's not difficult to hire new talent then? Where all these youngsters come from?
They come from different backgrounds. We prefer from IT.
Okay.
Well, the software developers, for them our job is dull and boring, not creative enough. But in IT, there are a lot of people who are not just that talented for software development, and they're just perfect for us. And for all the rest, we train them internally.
Okay, so you have a big internal training program for that.
Yes, we have market research programs in sociology in the Sofia University and in economic sociology in the University of National and World Economy. But I don't think they teach well enough. So all the training we do.
Okay, interesting. And Jim, how is that at your company? What are you guys doing to attract the new?
There's really a few things. We have a very difficult time saying we're consultants because of our position. We're mostly field work and technology. So what we really do is we have a culture of inclusion so that they feel like they belong and they have friendships and deep relationships within the company. So we do that. There's also a sense of brand leadership. So there's a pride in that I work here because people know us and who we are. And third, as you were talking about, we do a lot of work with social institutions. So we do some work in Haiti. We have a week where we just work in the community, and we give people time to do that, and that makes them feel like that it's not just a job; it's a place where they're having an impact on the community. And we don't have a lot of trouble hiring young people in. They want that kind of environment.
If I can add to it, I think the challenge is not so much for us to find the people that are interested, but to find a mix of things that we're looking for in people. And because it's quite specific, at least where I do very quantitative work, but it means that we have a few whiskets that are really good in terms of numbers, but we're actually looking for people that have that combination of like being able to like work with a lot of data, but at the same time go out to clients and have like a social skills that you can present at conferences. And to find that mix is quite a challenge.
It's unique, eh? It's like a Superman or Superwoman. We talked about that before.
Yeah, it's completely different levels actually of like brain capacity, kind of what you look for.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Well, have any of you managed to solve that? How do you find them? Maybe other areas? You look in IT. Do you look in specific different adjacent educational areas, or?
No, most of our people come to us by referrals or some other way. So we've been very fortunate in finding terrific people.
Oh, that's a luxury.
Yeah, it is.
Now, another thing you mentioned, that when you said, well, when I'd recommend them to go there, they should be going entrepreneuring. And that brings us back to the theme of this show, right? In a minute, we're going to listen to Molly Telford, who actually also has a great pitch about the independence and the small boutiques. How can we stimulate young people to actually start, and maybe not straight out of university, but people like you, George, who've been in the industry for about 7 or perhaps 10 years, you've seen the big stuff. Are you thinking about branching out, as Molly calls it?
Let's see, I have my ideas about like where the industry is going next. And I think starting straight away, like there's a few people also that walk around here that have, come across like when they're studying and like a good idea, and then it suddenly becomes something that they can use. But I think especially I've been working now for 7 years, like you come across challenges or like, so I have some ideas on like kind of like where to go next. I just need to work them out still. But I think that's where a lot of, you kind of learn the status quo, as you were saying. But this is not like where we're going to be in 10 years from now. And well, within our company, it's very much stimulated to actually then develop something new. So also for this conference, we developed a completely new methodology, which is a really big challenge because it's not fun. Like it takes time.
It's hard work.
It costs evenings, a lot of discussion. But then if you see the end result, it's quite cool. So it's about like, and not everyone wants this. I think that's also like we cannot assume that every young person that enters the industry wants to do this kind of work. But it's about how stimulating it, and then the people that you meet, like if you're at a conference like this, you're already quite open, right, to like new ideas and like bringing forward, but it's not for everyone.
And Stefan, what are you guys doing to stimulate entrepreneurial spirit in your company, whether it's inside or out?
Yes, it's once again, it's not so easy, but the idea is to let people have time to develop what they want to try things, which means R&D is important, and let people do what they want without too much restraints. Otherwise, once again you will keep doing exactly the same thing. So let them think, let them go at the end of their idea, wrong or right, but let them go at the end, so they know it's not the right path, and they will choose another. So stimulating, we are talking innovation with this, is very important, otherwise we would be dead. We have to.
How does it work in practice? We know at Google they have the 20% rule, right? 1 day a week you can do work on whatever you want. Is it that stringent, or is it just more that you don't push them so hard on billable hours, or how does this work?
No, the idea, as we force people to take some little time off in the offices.
Okay.
But not doing what they are doing on an everyday basis, but having some time to think. That means we give them some missions, not definitely very structured missions, but some mission to think about that. And let's talk about this in 1 month, whenever you want. And
who creates the agenda for these missions? Is that you as the CEO, or where do the missions come from?
Yes, missions come from myself, but the head of activities, we are different branches, and so each one is giving a mission to one of their guys.
Okay. So you
But-
work with missions. That's a great takeaway. I'm trying to make it practical also for our viewers, right? What
That's
they
it.
can introduce missions. I see you nodding at the Google 20%. You talked about giving people time to do good. How is that organized? Is that formalized? Is that...
We do have a formalized doing goods. We call it doing good, and there's 1 week a year that we take the week and we spend the whole week. That's what we're doing things in the community. We also do some other things. But to your point, our software development group does get time formally off to be able to work on projects, usually with their ideas, things that they want to do that can help the company. But the real challenge is we want entrepreneurial people, but we don't want entrepreneurial people to leave.
You don't want to branch out.
Yes, exactly. So what we have to do even within our operations group is to give them some time and some freedom to execute on ideas and to come up with things that will save the company or that they get a lot of benefit from, because they like the safety net of the company, but they want the freedom to be able to do things that are a lot of fun or interesting to them. So you have to provide that.
And how much time? So it's the week?
It's not, well, there's a week of charitable work, but as far as working on special projects, there's not really a set structure for that. If somebody says they have an idea they want to work on, we give them we free them up to be able to do that.
Because I'm pushing a bit on that, because it's easy to say as a CEO that we find that important, and then we hear Joyce about, it's evening work and all that stuff. You be entrepreneurial, but you add it on top of all the other stuff you need to do anyway, right? That's
you have to build systems around it. You have to have people that come in and say, I'm going to take over this piece of work for you. We've got another operational model that we're looking at that will simply provide some benefits and some structure to some people, but let them literally work outside the organization in doing some new things. And that will, again, providing them a safety net, but giving them freedom is really the key.
Elena, you have any ideas to add to that? Sorry.
No.
No?
No.
I just want to say we actually launched last year a more formal structure internally. So we have an internal job market. So actually, if you have an idea, then you can write out what your idea is and kind of what skills you need for it. And then people within the company can apply for it, so that people actually then get a dedicated set of hours. So it's like a project, but then a bit more. There's a stakeholder, kind of a client, and then you work for.
And these are own initiated ideas, not specifically for a client.
But I think to your point, the challenge is the kind of people that want to take it on are also the kind of people that really like to do their work and all the other stuff. So that's
it just
why
keeps piling up, and then they're burnt out by the time they're 28, right?
Yeah, that's the challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Burnt by the time of 28.
Oh, you think that's old? 26 maybe?
No. How can you burn out that early?
That doesn't happen in Bulgaria?
No.
Maybe we're both from the Netherlands. It's a big thing. Quarter-life crisis, all the 30 years.
The statistics are there, right? Our generation has a huge amount of burnouts. Yeah.
I think we have to respect.
Because we want everything, and we have so much choices, and we can do everything. Yeah, you don't recognize? Oh, we talk about that on the side.
Okay, our youngsters don't burn out.
All right. So maybe that's a tip. If you're young, go to Bulgaria. It's a growing market. It's a very relaxed.
They work hard, party hard.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, with that, we kind of come to the end of this. I think this had some great learnings in here. Yes, we all recommend our kids to come into this industry. Yes, but the new side of the industry. And we want to stimulate them to be entrepreneurial by devoting time to it, by creating missions, by doing good. I think it's a great segment that you should watch back if you just fell into it, because there's a lot of learnings here. Thank you very much for participating in this.
Thank you.